And I just want to thank you guys that have come and that are part of this and what we're asking you to do, because this really, really is important to us. We take this information and we look to see if what we're providing is meeting our school's needs and what we can do better, or if there's something we're not addressing that's coming up that we're just not seeing yet, that schools are having to deal with, and if there's ways we can help with that. A lot of things have come from these data digs in the past. Our behavior program, it took us about 5 years to get it off the ground, but it takes that kind of planning. LMHPs, more tech people in our schools or tech services, and there's others I know, I can't probably think of them off the top of my head. But so this really is important, and we really do appreciate your time. And I'm going to turn this over to Heidi. She has kind of organized this as our data steward, and we'll just let her kind of talk through this.
Great, thanks. Molly, are you recording that then?
I am.
Okay, awesome. All right, so yeah, we would really hope to do this in person. I think we do have some wonderful conversations when we can do this in person, but we also recognize it's been a tough year. We did our putting out fires for principals, which has been amazing, but that's pulling principals away from the schools. We've had a lot of snow days, and I know a lot of schools are trying to make up for that. So we are trying what I call the District Data Dig 2.0. We're going to try a digital version for many reasons. I think one, partly because it's just hard to get everyone in the same room at the same time. And two, we really do want a team to fill out this information. And, we know it's hard to get one person out of the building, let alone to get three to really have some valuable conversations about what your district needs are. So thanks for being here. And we'll talk a little bit about what you can expect for this digital version and the timeline for it. So our why, as Molly said, service literally is our middle name. We need your input to help influence what those services look like. What are your needs? And making sure that our services match those needs. Maybe there are things that aren't being met that we need to talk about. So this really is valuable as a service organization to get feedback from you all. So thanks for taking the time to do that. We've talked about for a few years now, and I think ESU 8 has been using the Simple program for, I think we're on year 5. Now every ESU across the state is using the Simple program, which is basically a logging tool for us about the number of hours we spend in districts, the number of participants that we engage with, to really help measure our services and what's being used. I think it's really a good reflective tool to say and provide that data to districts about, here's how you're using our services. Do they match with your needs? Are there services you're not using that you could be using? Are there services that aren't being used or don't exist and that we need to consider? So I will share some of that data with you if you happen to have some Simple data. And as Molly mentioned, some outcomes from previous data digs, when we found that there were some gaps, we've expanded our LMHP program significantly, as well as the behavior school. So this information is really important to us to help build those programs. So please let us know if there are things that we're not addressing that we need to. So the process. We, by the end of this week, will be sending out a Google form to each district. And we want one response per district, but we do really want a team to take some time and have some conversations around the Google form and what your needs are. We recommend that maybe it could be a superintendent, principal, counselor, teacher leaders. We really want multiple perspectives so that all voices are represented on the form and that input. We want you to take some time to reflect on your current goals and initiatives. And if you have Simple data, I'll show you that in a minute. You should have received a data dashboard for your district from me that shows the services that you have used this year. So that's a really good reflection tool to say, here were our needs, here were our asks of ESU 8. What services have we used? What services have we not used? Are there some gaps? So we really want you to take some time to look for those intersections and those gaps. And then we have taken our services and made a list of them for the different areas, whether it be technology, professional development, student services, and rate the level of priority of those. It may be you're not using them at all, or it may be really high priority. So again, I think that's helpful to have a team to really have conversations around those. And then we will use that data to guide our services. So here's what you can expect. The Google form will ask, who were the people that were invested in this information that you're providing to us? You'll select your district. And then if you happen to have used some of our services, you will have a data dashboard. And this is one that I sent out, I think it was in December, that shows the ESU 8 services that you've used so far this year, along with your school improvement goals and top initiatives that you submitted to us. And another question we really want to know is, what are the challenges you're facing in receiving some of those services? We know time is always an issue, but we really like to know if there are ways that we can break down some of those barriers for you to receive the services that you need. So here's an example of a data dashboard that I sent to the districts that had simple data. The top part up here where you see your school and your school improvement goals, this data came from a Google form that was sent out last fall to districts. So if this is blank for your district, that means we didn't receive that information. However, that's very easily remedied. You just have to send it to me and I can put it in there. And then you can have conversations around, whoops, went too fast. Then you can have conversations around, well, if MTSS is one of our goals, are we using that service? And you can see here, it's the highest number in terms of hours and really high in terms of number of participants that are using that service. So this is a good reflection tool for you as a district to see where you are using our services currently. And it's a good reflection tool of, if you have a goal up here or an initiative and you don't see it down here, is it A, because we just haven't reached out, or we need to be more proactive and telling you what we have, or B, that service doesn't exist and we need to consider doing something to support that. Wow, my screen. So the Google form then will have a way for you to fill out priority level. I tried to find a balance between, I didn't list every service. I tried to combine some because I didn't want the form to get too long, but we also want feedback on these services. So you may not use this service at all, and then low, medium, or high priority, okay? All right, so our desired outcome from this is for you to be able to articulate what are your priorities so that you can meet the needs of your students and increase and have the most impact on student learning. And we can make sure then that our core programs align to those, and we can support that work that you need in your districts. Timeline. Again, we hope we still have some internal conversations that have to happen here from all of our departments. But we hope to send this out by the end of this week, our calendar week, because we're out on Friday. So hopefully you'll receive it on Thursday, no later than Thursday, March 9th. And then we're going to give you 2 weeks to have those conversations in-house. And we would like the submissions due by Friday, March 24th. I'm sure we will send out some reminders for you so it doesn't get too lost in your email box. And then we hope to share out and build on that data at our next admin assembly, which is April 26th. So you can check your calendar and make sure that's on your calendar. Because we'll hopefully share out that information, make sure that we aren't missing some voices at that time, or there aren't holes in what the data that we're receiving. And then lastly, we internally at USUA do data digs just like your districts do. So that will be one piece of the data that we use in addition to our perceptual data to help establish our services and our internal goals and action items. So we really do appreciate your input on this. Again, as a service organization, that helps us to know what the services are that you most need. All right, and please let me know if you have questions or if you have trouble seeing that data dashboard.